Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the January 8th, 2020 Merit Board meeting for the LaPorte County Sheriff's Department. Before we move any further, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Jim Schooley as a member of the Merit Board. Welcome, Jim. We're looking forward to some good times with you here in the next 4 years or so, so welcome aboard. If I could please everyone stand for the pledge. Jim, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone receive a copy of the minutes from last month. Any corrections?
Yes, I did.
Any corrections? Hearing none, do I have a motion? Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you. This time we'll move on to the election of officers for 2020. Do I have a nomination for president?
I'll nominate Ken. Microphone. I'll nominate Jim Kimmel for president.
Second.
Motion second. Any other nominations for president? Hearing none, nomination is closed. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Nomination for vice president.
I'll make a motion for Laura.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for Laura Francisconi. Any other nominations? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Nomination for secretary.
I nominate Louise Mock for secretary.
Have a motion. Have a second.
I'll second it.
Have a motion second. Any other nominations for secretary? Hearing none, all in favor of Ms. Mock signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you. Morning, Sheriff.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Wonderful. Happy New Year to each of you. Congratulations to the officers that were elected. And Mr. Schooley, welcome aboard.
Thank you,
It's a
sir.
pleasure to have you. We'll get started. We do have a commissioners meeting immediately following this County Board of Commissioners, so we'll get through our agenda. The first item that we'd like to talk about is the fact that our probation officers, Deputies David Grimberg and Austin Howell, are in phase 3 of their field training, and Deputy Kaz Billings is in phase 2. He'll be transitioning to phase 3, which the third of 4 phases on Saturday. They're on track to complete their field training in mid to late February, and they're doing well. The only minor problems that are being reported at this point are location and orientation, and that is true of just about every deputy that we've ever had here, just because geographically LaPorte County is so large, they're just trying to get their bearings out there. That's part of the field training program. They should be proficient with that by the time that they graduate from field training, but it'll be probably at least a year to maybe a year and a half before they feel completely comfortable out in the rural area of the county. In the meantime, Deputy Austin Apple graduated from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy in Plainfield on December 27th. Captain Allen and myself attended that. He is now in phase 1 of his field training. He's doing very well, and he's scheduled to complete his field training in March. I'll tell you that Deputy Apple did very, very well at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, which keeps in tradition with all of our deputies down there, but he graduated in the mid-90 percentile down there and really excelled. As I report every month concerning Franciscan Health and our calls for service, in the month of December, we responded to 15 calls for service. This is 2 less than what we responded to in the month of November. And as we've previously explained, several of these calls were not necessarily calls as a result of an incident happening at the hospital, but rather were battery victims, victims of other crimes, victims of crashes that went to the hospital, and it was reported there, so we responded. And it just shows that it is a call for service at the hospital. Again, we don't think these numbers are inordinate. Our calls for service department-wide decreased in the month of November from the month of November by 4%. We answered 2,450 calls for service in the month of December, which is 90 fewer than what we did in November. One area of marked reduction, and I had previously reported on this, I think in October, where the number of car deer crashes are starting to go back down. Rut is ending, and so we had 20 fewer crashes in the month of December as a result of car deer collisions than we did in the month of November. Our preliminary statistics for 2019, and I emphasize preliminary, indicate that our calls for service increased 15% over 2018. The number of alcohol-related crashes, we're really pleased to report that preliminarily look like they were reduced by 64%. And as we reported at the holiday party and department meeting, that is a significant number. But also a significant number, something that we're really proud of, is the fact that our alcohol-related fatality crashes were reduced 22%. Those are remarkable numbers. And these reductions are the result of goal setting by the department and by our deputies, and them working very diligently to accomplish these goals. In some cases, there was more than a 54% increase, more so than the goal that we had set for the department. We've set goals for 2020. We preliminarily announced a few of them the other night, but we're going to be having an upcoming staff meeting, and we're going to be reinforcing these goals that we're setting department-wide. But we think we can move those numbers even more significantly in the year 2020. It's a lofty goal, but the only way to achieve those goals is if you set them rather high. Our employees, I'm really pleased to report what community support that we have. And they're the recipient of a number of meals throughout the holidays by citizens and organizations that support law enforcement. Thank you gifts of food. For instance, Garwood Orchard continue to supply our staff with apples, and we're really pleased with that because that's a really healthy diet. It's nice when the apples come in along with a plate of cookies or some cakes or donuts, but nonetheless, they have been supplying us with our department favorite, and that is Honeycrisp. There are other organizations and individuals that continue to deliver those cookies and candy and thank you notes and cards for us, and I'll be reading one of those unsolicited cards here in just a little bit. Our 56th annual Children's Christmas Show was held on December 14th at the Performing Arts Center at LaPorte High School. Each of the children that were in attendance, and I think we had about 250 that were there, received gifts, candy, books, and they were able to meet Santa and Mrs. Claus. And the excess food that we had and gifts were then donated to the LaPorte Salvation Army. And some of the excess proceeds as well were deposited into our Neil Thompson Memorial Scholarship. Also, some of the proceeds, we actually wrote a check to the Salvation Army, delivered a check to them when we delivered the gifts and the food, a check for $200 to the Salvation Army. In mid-December, Deputies Christina Wimmer, John Samuelson, Andrew Hahn, Andy Morse, Bobby Greer, Captain Dallas Smythe, Captain Derek Allen, and Clerk Christy Hahn took 4 small brothers and sisters who were in foster care to a dinner and then Christmas shopping. These children were victims of a horrific act of violence, and they witnessed it as well in a nearby county, and they're now in foster care here in LaPorte County. The Sheriff's Office was made aware of their situation, and our staff immediately came together, and they wanted to ensure that these children received gifts, a warm sit-down meal, all while reinforcing that law enforcement are continuing to love them, and we continue to look out for them, and we're their friends. It was really rewarding to attend that. These kids were so grateful. Their foster parents were extremely grateful. We all just had a great time that night. Also accompanying these children was a child of one of our deployed deputies. We wanted to make sure that he was able to be the recipient of our love and companionship that night and keep him an active member of the Sheriff's Office family. Then our staff put together a care package for that deputy that's deployed, and we then shipped it to him overseas to his deployment site. You know who that is. I'm not going to publicly release his name for security reasons, but we think about him every day and we pray for his safety, especially what's going on in the world right now. And we hope for his very safe return at the end of this year. Our annual holiday party and awards banquet took place on Saturday, January 4th at Heston Hills Banquet and Conference Center. We handed out 17 life-saving awards, and they were presented to the following deputies. Deputy Scott Lanou, Deputy Ryan Doporowski, who received 2 awards for 2 separate life-saving acts. Deputy Jacob Heisowitz, Captain Andrew Heineck, who received 2 awards for 2 separate life-saving acts. Deputy Justin Phillips, Deputy Josh Smith, Deputy Alex Pishker, Jail Deputy James Hildebrandt, Jail Deputy Ethan Lonsky, who received 2 awards for 2 separate life-saving acts, Deputy Charles Davis, Corporal Dallas Hutz, Deputy Eric Murray, Sergeant Jeff Hull, and Deputy Ethan Krivak. It's so really rewarding to be able to recognize them. Plus, the Merit Commission gave their awards as well. We thank you for once again organizing that, Mr. Kimmel, and for the Merit Commission partnering with First Source Bank and T-Bones as well to provide some awards to those deputies that received that beyond the expected award. It's very, very nice to be able to recognize our staff for the things that they're doing in the community and above and beyond here at the Sheriff's Office. We do have a couple of cards, letters of commendation and appreciation, and the first one is a letter of appreciation for deputies that were involved in a successful search for a lost dog. I wish to extend a special thank you to the 3 LaPorte County Sheriff's officers who helped our volunteers search a tree line for Heidi, our missing Tibetan Mastiff. We're grateful for their assistance and protection. We are proud to be members of the Westville LaPorte community and especially proud of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office. Thank you, Kathy Nolan. And that was in regard to a lost dog, which our deputies went out and they assisted in finding this dog. Again, something that isn't necessarily a job requirement, but when someone calls for help, we're always there to help because, as you know, animals are members of families too. The next is a letter of appreciation from a family who supports and appreciates the men and women of the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office. Dear Sheriff Boyd, and to all of your amazing law enforcement officers from LaPorte County Sheriff's Office, we just wanted to take a moment to thank you for serving our community and beyond, for risking your lives every day while in uniform and even when you're off duty, for all of your sacrifices made by each of you and your loved ones. Please know you're appreciated and loved and thought of. We support you and your brothers and sisters in blue from LaPorte County. Once again, thank you for everything you do. Be safe. Be blue. Your thoughts are in our prayer. You are in our thoughts and prayers. Sincerely, Margie, Raphael, Nicole, and Stephanie. We appreciate that this family took the time to sit down and offer their thoughts and thank us for what we do for our community. And finally, we have a letter of appreciation and a donation from a sister and brother-in-law of Deputy Neil Thompson. Dear Sheriff Boyd, please add the enclosed amount of $500 to the Neil Thompson Scholarship Fund. Received with this letter was a check in the amount of $500. I appreciate all of the support given to keep Neil's memory alive. Thank you again, Linda Thompson and Dr. Louis Bixler. Linda is Neil Thompson's sister, and she resides in the Indianapolis area. Every year she writes us a check, and she's very appreciative of the efforts that we do to help keep Neil's memory alive. So that is being deposited in the Neil Thompson Memorial Scholarship Fund. And we do have an email from Judge Bergeson. I don't have it with me at this point, but Judge Bergeson wrote a very nice email at the end of the year, and he wanted to say thank you for all that our staff did. His court had a very, very busy calling this year with criminal cases, and many of the cases required additional staff, additional security measures, very late nights. And our staff was always there, and he's very appreciative of the fact that what we did to help keep the members of the court, his staff, witnesses, victims, accused, and jurors safe. And so he took a few minutes to write that had already been disseminated to our staff. You'll see that our next Merit Commission is Wednesday, February 12th at 9 a.m. And as a reminder, the Merit Commission dates have all been changed to Wednesdays at 9 o'clock. So there'll no longer be any afternoon Merit Commission meetings. And finally, the Warrants Division, Detective Bureau, and monthly jail reports are attached. And again, you can just continue to see how busy each and every division within the department is. And I think our numbers that we provided you are reflective of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Are there any comments from the floor?
I just have two quick things. The first is thank you very much for the award Saturday night. I very much appreciated it, as I'm sure the other deputies that received it did. It's nice that we're recognized like that. The other thing, I feel as the shift commander, it's my job, and I'm going to try doing it as often as I can make it to the meetings, to showcase either one of my deputies or something with the shift. So, and I shared this with the administration the other day, it's a pretty monumental stat, and that is for the entire year of 2018, we had only 4 sick days taken by the entire shift. We haven't had a sick day taken since March 21st, which means our guys worked approximately 17,520 hours and only used 32 sick hours. That's phenomenal. And I just feel that needs to be recognized for the guys that work midnights. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
I want to add to that as well. That is an amazing number. I was recently with a chief who has 6 officers that are out for a prolonged amount of time. It's a very small department, and it's devastating to manpower when you're sick. You know that we're committed to health and wellness here at the Sheriff's Office. Well, we have our wellness center. That's why we do our wellness physical agility testing, because officers that are healthy and that are physically fit are less likely to be subjected to injury in the line of duty. But also, we have a prevailing attitude by our staff that they want to serve, and they feel guilty when they're out. But we get sick, and sometimes you're better off taking one day off so you don't try to suck it up and then you set yourself back and you're off for 3 or 4 days as a result of that. But also, we don't want our staff coming in and affecting others either. One person getting sick can affect an entire shift or the entire department. So that is quite a statistic. Wanted to point out as well that yesterday we had a crash that involved one of our deputies who was directing traffic on State Road 2. You probably heard about it. We've had a lot of people that have reached out to us regarding this, including the media. But we stopped traffic on State Road 2 so some farm equipment could get across the highway. We had deputies on either side of 600 East stopping traffic, and there was a long line of traffic that was stopped. A semi-tractor trailer came through, and he says that his brakes failed. He disregarded one deputy, went around him, fortunately didn't hit any of the stopped traffic, went through the intersection and hit the implement that was being pulled across the highway, which forced it into our deputy's squad car. Our deputy was in the car at the time, and miraculously he was not injured. But it looks like his car is, if not total, it's pretty close to being total. It was a 2018.
We'll know more.
Most importantly, he wasn't injured. That's the most important thing. But it just shows it was a crash that could have been tragic, like the one that happened on Sunday down in Boone County, Indiana, on I-65, where a semi just came up behind stopped traffic and just plowed right through the scene. And that's exactly what happened here. The semi had steel coils, and it looks like he was greatly overloaded. And not only are we investigating it, but the Indiana State Police are investigating that as well. And he is being cited.
Any other comments from the floor?
Good morning. I just, Councilman Mike Mullenhour, just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. And congratulations to Jim Schooley on his election as Merit Commission by all the officers. Congratulations. And congratulations to you who were elected to the offices for the Merit Commission again. And Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, comments from the floor is closed. Comments from the board. Mr. Weedbrook,
None at this time. None at this time.
you sure?
Yep.
Okay. Mrs. Francisconi?
Yeah, I just have a few. I want to say thank you to the sheriff for your transparency with some key goals and then the results of meeting those goals. I just think that's critical for not only your staff but the community too, if it's out in the community. Thank you and all your staff, whoever put on the party on Saturday. That was it was really a good time, and I want to especially thank Sergeant Wright. I mean, hilarious. I mean, that takes a lot of time, I know, and I know he enjoys it, but I just think that it's what everybody looks forward to. I have to say it. And then I want to welcome Jim Schooley to the board.
Jim?
I just want to thank everybody for the warm welcome to the board. Sheriff, you are justifiably proud of your department. It's very heartening to see the consistent positive feedback that you get from the community. I reviewed the past year's meetings, and it's consistent, and it's fantastic to see you guys do a fantastic job. Thank you.
Ms. Mock?
I just want to say that I am glad to be a part of this commission because it's a tight fit and everybody seems to respect everybody, and welcome to this. You'll love it. And I'm just glad to be a part of it, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
13 years. Dude.
That's all? I just want to the sheriff already mentioned the Beyond the Expected Awards that Merit Board gives. This is our second year doing it. The recipients this year were Detective Gary Biggs, Sergeant Jeff Wright, and Captain Andy Heineck. All three were very well deserving of those awards, and as you mentioned, First Source Bank and T-Bones here in LaPorte reached out to partner with us on that again. And it just goes to show when people say, you know, call me first next year, I want to be a part of this program. And it's reflective of the men and women of this department that we had a tough time, again, picking 3 out or 4, but we don't want to just give it to someone just because we have it. It's something that they have to deserve and something that they have to earn, and we feel that we're very, very, respective of that, winning those awards. So thank you for that. Jim, congratulations. Looking forward to working with you. And that is all I have at this point. Hearing none other, do I have a motion to adjourn? Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 9:22. Thank you.